Nike versus Adidas, fair trade. Nike was always known as the industry that underpays its people. But are they the only one that does harm? Both Adidas and Nike has thousands of sweatshops in developing countries like Japan, China, and Mexico.
As we all know, Nike does have a very well documented history of exploiting cheap labor, sometimes in the form of children. These children would be put into sweatshops and often have to work in harsh conditions of a sweatshop their whole life. They are often physically, emotionally, and verbally abused. As a result, workers said they skip meals to save money, and that every day someone in the factory passes out because they are exhausted or unwell. Workers said that their basic wage does not cover their family's minimum needs. None of the workers' Playfair researchers interviewed in China, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, or Philippines are paid a living wage, a wage that covers the cost of basic necessities such as food, housing, clothing, healthcare, and education. Workers often have little choice but to work excessive hours just to scrape together enough to get by. This is not fair trade. But what is fair trade? Fair trade is an alternative approach to conventional trade and is based on a partnership between producers and consumers. Fair trade offers producers a better deal and improvement terms of trade. What would happen if Nike were a fair trade company? If Nike were a fair trade, companies would have living wages. Consider the impact that this could have for workers around the world. In 2008, sales of fair trade certified goods were approximately $4.98 billion. Last year, Nike alone did 4 times this amount in sales. If we could make all Nike's products in fair trade, we would increase the sale of fair trade goods by 300%, and a ripple effect in the global economy would be massive. Now, let's talk about Adidas. Unfortunately, Adidas is not a fair trade company. The Chinese people that work for Adidas get paid an unfair wage of around $25 per week. The conditions in the factories are not good either. Adidas owns several sweatshops. It is almost most likely that they employ children as well. Around 775,000 workers, mainly women, in 1,200 factories across 65 countries make Adidas products. Almost all the jobs are outsourced to factories and are in poorer countries. Why do they do this? They do this because it's cheaper, so they can employ children and work them for a cheap price, with some factories not even a legal minimum wage. These business owners do not understand the problem they've created, and as human beings, it is not right for us to basically encourage this by buying their clothing for cheap shipping prices.